you on what we might expect in your area of the world in the 12 months ahead. In other words, a projection for 61. Latin America, Wilson Hall.
Revolutions and counter-coups, the winners, the communists. In Cuba, a move to the left, a consolidated move to the left, and if Castro is still in power in 6 months, we'll be talking about him in projection 1962.
Russia, John Chancellor.
Well, I think there's a fairly good chance that Kennedy and Khrushchev may meet in 1961, and I would venture this. If Khrushchev does talk to Kennedy, he'll say that, ask him to remember that Soviet-American relations are never as bad as they seem, and that Soviet-Chinese relations are never as good as they seem.
Southeast Asia, James Robinson.
Well, 1961 could see a real war in Asia, hopefully confined to the Indochina countries. Our troops could be involved against Asian communists.
Asia, Cecil Brown.
Well, the Kingdom of Laos is certainly the most critical spot right now, and in 1961, I think Laos either will fall to the communists or it will be the trigger for international war. And the Russians may complete the murder of the United Nations in 1962.
Africa, Wells Hangen.
In 1961, Frank, I think there could well be two more Congo-type situations in Africa. And my favorite candidates are Rhodesia and Portuguese Africa.
The Congo, Irving R. Levine.
The Congo will go from bad to international battleground in 1961 unless the United Nations can maintain its position there. That position gets shakier every day.
Britain, Joseph C. Harsh.
The British, Frank, and I think the other Western European countries will respond to fresh and vigorous new leadership from Washington, and the alliance will be reformed, provided there is such fresh and vigorous new leadership. If there isn't, neutralism will spread like a plague across the face of Europe.
France, Edwin Newman.
In the referendum of Sunday, January 8th, the French people will recognize that Algerian independence is inevitable, but there will be more convulsions and crises before that independence comes about.
Germany, John Rich.
I won't change what I said in this program a year ago. Continuing Berlin crisis, more threats, more incidents, some tough bargaining, but no final solution.
And from the State Department, Frank Bergholzer.
In 3 weeks, Dean Rusk will become Secretary of State, Chester Bowles Undersecretary, Adlai Stevenson Ambassador to the United Nations. By Christmas of 1961, I suspect at least one of these three may have resigned.
The White House, Sander Van Oker.
In 1961, President Kennedy will seek to revitalize our economy, halt what he considers is the decline in our world prestige, and strengthen our defenses. He'll also try to find a way to respond to Khrushchev's peace overtures without raising hopes that a summit meeting can end the world power struggle. And finally, he'll try to find a way to prevent his 3-year-old daughter Caroline from upstaging him at press conferences.
That may be the easiest problem to confront him in 1961, 62, 63, or 64. I thank you very much, gentlemen, for what you have told us tonight. I'm not sure that we can take a great deal of comfort in it. I think maybe John was right when he said it was a catalog of horrors, because the sum of all we've heard from you is so staggering that at times it's difficult to believe that anything can be done about it. And certainly, as you say, Sander, Kennedy has evidenced his awareness of the magnitude of the problems he will face as President of the United States. And he has voiced the belief that this decade of the 1960s may well be decisive, not only for the United States, but for Western civilization as well. And I would think that the preservation of that civilization will require a genius equal to or surpassing that of those who have so tortuously brought that civilization to its present level. But I cannot completely despair. That which faces us is, after all, of human creation and, I believe, capable of human solution. But for these NBC correspondents, as well as the entire NBC News staff, this is Frank McGee. Thank you, and good evening.
This NBC Special News Report has been brought to you by the Gulf Oil Corporation, producers of more and better energy from oil. Projection 61 has been a presentation of NBC News.